Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Gemma, and joining me again this week, I have my excellent friend. Welcome back, Kirk. How are you,
It's
Kirk?
good to be here talking about Nintendo, and I have to say quickly, even though it's unrelated to anything, what I love about talking about Nintendo is it doesn't let me down like my sports teams do. And so every time one of my teams gets eliminated from the playoffs, I always have Nintendo games to fall back on, and it brings me joy.
Well, that is nice to hear. Not nice about the sports teams, of course. That's sad. But yes, I feel the same way. I have to tell you. So, well, let's start with I guess we're going to talk a lot about Switch 2 again this week because that's kind of the thing that's on everyone's minds. It's coming out now from the date of this publication of this episode. It will be exactly a month because this episode will air on the 5th of May. So we're getting really close, and I've started to dream a little bit about it, Kirk, as I do sometimes when I'm excited. I was dreaming about Mario Kart World the other day. So yeah,
Wow, what happened? How'd it go?
yeah, it was great. I just woke up and I'm like, I want to play this. So,
Well, I mean, like, were you in the dream driving the car? Were you dreaming that you were playing the game?
no, it wasn't that cool. It was
Okay.
just that I had the game and I was playing it and really enjoying it. So yeah, yeah. But it was awesome. I loved it. So hopefully that it translates to real life when it's available. I think it will. I think it will.
Well,
But yes.
I had a not related experience, but I went to Best Buy today, and it made me sad because I went there to get a new coffee maker. I'm like,
Oh.
I should be walking in here to get a Switch too, but I wasn't able to pre-order. Like, how sad to leave Best Buy with a coffee maker instead of a new Switch game or a system or something.
Yeah. Well, is it a fancy coffee maker?
Oh no, I'm not a fancy coffee kind of guy.
Okay, fair
Give me the
enough.
sturdiest, most basic one that I can have that'll last me a long time, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, one day Nintendo will integrate with things like coffee makers. They've got the alarm clock. What's next? Coffee
I
makers.
suppose that's true.
Yeah, so we're definitely getting closer. Let's talk a little bit about. We talked a lot about pre-orders last week because they opened in North America. Has there been any further development from either of us? I have a little update, but let's start with you, Kirk. Did you manage to? So I know the story with you was you tried really hard, you didn't get anything, but our esteemed leader Justin managed to secure two. Well, he pre-ordered two. Have
Yeah.
they been secured? Have you found out? Yes.
Well, they're secured by him. He's got them. They haven't been canceled or
Oh,
anything. That
that's
doesn't mean
good.
they won't be.
Mhm.
Now he and I are just working out. Does it make sense for him to switch the shipping address on one to have it come directly to me?
Mhm.
And I can't remember if I mentioned this last week, but my fear with that is, what I could get it before him. I'd feel terrible.
Yeah, true.
His could be delayed and mine could arrive on time. So,
Mhm.
who knows?
Yeah,
And
well,
maybe the retailer will think, wait a minute, the shipping address has changed. This guy was a scalper. We're going to cancel his order. Not that they would do
yeah.
that. I don't believe they do that at all. They don't care if it goes to a scalper or a regular customer. But
Yeah. Yeah, and I doubt they're checking. I don't know how many pre-orders. Was one Target and one Best Buy, or one was Walmart?
Walmart,
Okay.
yeah, Target and Walmart, I believe.
Okay. And I don't know which one would be more reliable in terms of postage or shipping. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe Justin
Well,
can take the more reliable one if it
yeah,
helps.
well, it's he's doing me the favor, so however he wants to do it, I'm totally cool doing it that way.
Yes, I do hope because it comes out a Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
So I do hope you get it before we record that week so that you have had a chance to play it before that episode. That
Yeah.
would be pretty awesome if you could. But we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. That's good to hear. My little update is I went ahead and ordered the Pro Controller 2 and
Oh,
the camera.
oh, you did get the camera.
Yes, I did. I decided to get it. So this is me being excited and looking every day at the website and thinking, should I get it? And I just decided to. So I definitely wanted the controller because at some point I was definitely going to get it anyway. So I thought, well, I might as well just get it up front. I'm going to get the day off. I'm going to get Mario Kart World at the very least. I would just want to play it the best way possible. So, and my controllers, I mean, they're fine. I've got two Pro controllers, as I've mentioned before. They're both great. They're in great shape and they work really well. And they will work with the Switch too, which is awesome. but I think I just need to treat myself to a new one. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
and you're gonna need the camera button if you're getting the camera too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to get the camera without the control, really, I don't think. I don't know if I'll have anyone to test it with, but even, I guess, locally, I can just try it with the kids, play Mario Kart with the kids, and at least then I can talk about it, on the show, or if we're reviewing stuff, I can sort of weigh in on how that works, I
Yeah.
thought would be, handy as well.
And that's something I didn't consider because I'm not planning on getting one, but I imagine that a lot of the games we review are going to utilize that in unique ways that should be part of the review. So I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know either. So,
Yeah.
I assume some will, but I guess it won't, you can just mention in the review, I guess. I wasn't able to test the camera features, but I've heard
Oh
they're
yeah.
good or something.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
disclose that if necessary.
Yeah.
I am going to get the Switch Pro controller, and I will order that before the system comes out. Not only because I want it, but also because I think my other one is starting to die.
Ah, okay.
I got a
Mhm.
Switch Pro controller, and I didn't get it right away, but quickly after the Switch, and I've had it for a very long time. But as I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X, is the one where I noticed it the most. I will
Mm.
have it down to run, and my character will suddenly walk for about
Oh.
5 steps, and then run, and then walk and run, and I'm not moving the stick. I didn't know if it was the game, like if the game was stuttering, or if there's something wrong with my stick where it's not recognizing that I got it pushed all the way up. So
Right.
I think it's on its last legs, and I need a new one anyway.
Oh, well, I guess that's good timing in a sense
Yeah,
then.
well, I was
Yeah.
thinking about getting a new one even before they announced the Switch 2 Pro controller,
Mhm.
but I knew that one was going to be coming, so I thought I'll just wait,
Yeah.
or
And
wait till
the
Sam gets home from college and he brings the other one back, and now I can just use that one.
Yes, and all accounts, seem to be reporting that it's a really good controller. I think it's gonna be amazing and sturdy and reliable, and I don't know how else you describe a controller. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one. Is that a pun? Not really, but it's kind of a it's it's sort of a
Oh,
bad joke.
well said. Yeah, we'll just leave it at well said. We won't call it a
Thanks.
pun. If Trevor were here, he would.
He
I think
would.
he enjoys puns more than I do. But
He does, yes. But speaking of pre-orders, there was some news during the week that, in Japan, they've been there's this crazy amount of pre-orders happening. So 2.2 million applied for the Nintendo Switch 2 lottery that they're doing, which apparently far exceeds expectations. So I mean, this is good news, I guess, in the sense that the Switch 2 is obviously very popular. It's not great news in terms of, people getting it. I think, there's this, what was the percentage? 25% of those people will be able to get one day 1, I think is what I read, which is, obviously a low number. That means 75% would miss out. They would get it soon after, I would hope. But yeah, it seems like the stock isn't going to match the demand at this point. So, which is a bit of a concern we've had all along, I think, hasn't it?
yeah. Yeah, although
Mm.
I wonder if I don't know what the timing was for the Nintendo lottery versus opening it up in retailers,
Mm,
because
mhm,
we were able to get our names into the lottery right away over here in the United States.
mhm.
Um, they're not opening it to actual pre-orders. They're sending out the invitations on May 8th. So a lot of people who probably got on that Nintendo wait list already have their systems reserved through a different retailer. And if they
Mm.
get the invitations, could either cancel it and say, I got one, and then they pass it on to someone else, or go ahead and order it anyway. So they get a second one to resell at a higher value, or pass off to someone like me who wasn't lucky enough to
Yes.
get the initial pre-order. So I hopefully it's the same in Japan where the 2.2 million, like a good number of them may have the system already on the way from somewhere else.
Yes. No, that is a really good point, and I'm sure that that is the case. It definitely seems like, um, retailers have their own lottery systems in Japan, and a lot of people would be in multiple because that's how you would do it. You obviously want to get
Yeah.
one, you're gonna, hedge your bets and go across to as many as you can. So yeah, it won't be all of those 75% or whatever it is missing out. It would be a smaller amount depending on where they get it from. But from the Nintendo, I guess, online store specifically, yeah, that's how many they have received, which yeah, like I said, far exceeded what they expected, which I wonder what they expected because, I mean, we're talking about Japan here, which is the home of Nintendo,
Mm.
and the Switch has been phenomenally, um, successful. I don't know what they were thinking. I would have thought they'd have pretty high expectations, but I don't know how their marketing works or their projections work. Yeah, interesting. I don't know, and we didn't see numbers for the US, I don't believe. But Nintendo.com pre-orders open on May the 8th. Is that for North America?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I possibly Canada too. I really should look to see if they're including that. But yeah, that's when I don't know when they plan to send the invitations out. That's
Mhm.
when you're able to pre-order. So I don't know if they go out that day or if they'll go out the day before and you just are able to pre-order the next day. I believe the
Mm.
invitation though only lasts it's been a while since I was on there, but maybe like 72 hours. So if you don't pre-order quickly enough,
Mm.
you get locked out and then someone else gets that invitation.
Yeah, okay. So it might be the day before so that you are notified,
Yeah.
but I guess you've got that guaranteed like, it's kind of like a hold then, right, for 72 hours? You yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, and then once that 72 hours expires, if you haven't pre-ordered it, would someone else get an invitation who was just missed out previously? Would it
Yeah.
go to that next round of people, I suppose?
I think
Mm.
so. If they're
Mm.
doing it with a code or whatever, and you go in afterwards, they'll say, "Sorry, this is no longer valid. Get in line."
Yeah, yeah, interesting. So you have you've applied, right? To
Yes.
so you could get it this way as well. If you did
Yes.
get an invitation, would you go down that path?
Yes, I would.
Yeah?
Just to make it easier on Justin.
Yeah, okay. Mhm.
And then he would be able to, hand it off to someone else on his end. So,
Yeah,
or open it up to another peer Nintendo staffer.
true, true.
There,
Yes.
that's. I guess that's what I'm saying, listeners. If you didn't get your Switch pre-order in time, start writing for us.
Yeah.
Maybe we can hook you up.
Yes, exactly.
We've got some got some games in the queue ready to go.
We do indeed. Cool. Well, that's good to know. So next week we'll know for sure whether you got an invitation at least,
Yep.
and we can get an update on that. The next piece of news. Sorry, do you have anything else to add to that
No, no.
conversation? No, that's okay. So the Switch OS, like the operating system, was updated during the week, and it's quite a substantial one. It prepares us for Switch 2. Which I don't know if I was expecting that to happen. I guess I didn't really think about it, to be honest, whether the Switch 1 kind of, you know, system would match the Switch 2 system, but it seems like it will in terms of, I guess it's got some color changes. People are
Mhm.
talking a lot about the eShop going from orange to red. Seems to be a big deal. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Oh wait, how about this? It's comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah.
See, because the
That's
apple's
actually good.
red, and
Yeah.
yeah,
As a
I I don't know if it made any sense, but I liked it. Yeah. The funny thing is, I grabbed the download last night when I was playing, and I didn't even notice the row of icons changing at the bottom. The first thing that I thought was strange was that I was playing a game that I had downloaded,
Mm,
and it was showing the cart icon as if it was
mm.
something that was plugged into the system. Like, why is that there? And I was going through them all, and then I noticed that everything else had changed. I'm like, oh, okay, this is part of that whole virtual card thing that we're able to do now. Got
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yes. So that's the biggest change, I think. And
Yeah.
I suppose like I said, I hadn't really thought about it, but I didn't consider that it would affect the Switch 1, but of course it does, right? It's just now part of the Switch, I guess, ecosystem. You can do this virtual card thing, virtual game card. Um, yeah, which is, I guess, a visual. There's a visual element to that, and then you can also virtually load and eject games between two systems. So I haven't tried that yet. I don't know if you've had a chance to, but probably not because you don't have any other Switches in the house at the moment? Is that
Oh,
right?
no, we do. Yeah,
You
Sam's
do?
back
Okay.
from college with the Switch Lite. In fact, I thought about doing it, and then I thought,
Mm.
does it work yet? Like maybe it's just here,
Yeah, yeah,
and it,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
so I figured I would just read about it and see what other people are saying before I tried
Mm,
to do something with one of my games.
mhm. Yes. And game share is another thing that's been added. Again, haven't had a chance to try this, and I don't know which games it works with, but compatible software can be shared. Oh, no, this is a Switch 2 thing, sorry. That's a Switch 2 thing, I believe,
Okay.
looking at the summary online. And of course, the eShop has changed colors or icon colors. You can do your transfer now if you want to, which I don't think would make sense this early. But you can start the system transfer to the Switch 2, which I think means basically backing up your Switch 1 into the cloud and then downloading it onto the Switch 2. But then you can't play your Switch 1. Well, you can play a Switch 1, but it's kind of like factory resetting it, I suppose. Like there's no data on it, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure why you would do that now, unless you wanted
Yeah.
a blank Switch slate. But you can. It's there if you wanted to. But I mean, I guess it's good to have that in place a good month before the release, so that if there were any quirks or things that didn't quite work, any bugs, I suppose, they could do another update before then easily enough.
Yeah, yeah, get some feedback from people. Although
Mm.
the thing that makes me sad about it, I guess, is that when I do get the Switch 2 and I plug it in, I already know what it's going to look like.
Yeah,
So that
true, true.
yeah, the excitement of having something new to stare at is gone because I've been looking at it for a month.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'd like it to look nice and different. Maybe I'll just do dark mode so it does look different. I'm just not a dark mode person, but you can do light or dark mode. Do you use light or dark?
Dark. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
dark.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I should give it a go. Maybe I can be swayed. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't like it. I know it's meant to be better for your eyes, right? I think. Is it? Or is it just it looks nicer to some people?
I think yeah, I think they well. Usually when I see the dark mode, it's if you're in a darker room and your screen's not as bright, then yeah, it's better on your eyes. It's not quite as
Ah,
jarring, but
yeah, okay.
you it doesn't switch automatically on the Switch, does it? Is there a setting so if I turn it on at 2 p.m. versus 2 a.m., it looks
No.
different? Because I don't
I
think it
don't
does.
think so. Not that I've noticed. I haven't played at 2 AM very often.
Yeah, I've fallen asleep playing it and woken it up at 2 a.m. a couple times.
Yes. Yeah, no, I've not done that. So yeah, that's the only way it will look different is if you switch those modes, I think, to the
Yeah.
Switch one. So I wonder if you put them side by side, yeah, I guess the screen size will be a lot bigger in Switch 2 and, clearer, and, I mean, you have an OLED, right? So your
Yes.
Switch 1 might actually look a little better in some ways than your Switch 2. But yeah, put them side by side when you get them and see what it looks like. Hmm, interesting. So something else that came up during the week was some Switch 2 game sizes were revealed. And this kind of links into what we were talking about last week about the game key cards, because one of the benefits of the game key cards, I suppose, is that you could have quite a large game on there. So it will work really well if there's a huge game that is over the 64 gigabytes limit of a card. So that's obviously a good thing. But this list of games, none of them are over that limit. These are mostly, I guess, first party games like Mario Kart World, for example, 23.4 gigabytes, which is pretty hefty and a lot bigger than Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is only 10 gigabytes. Zelda, they've got Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom sizes there. And an interesting fact about those two is that the Tears of the Kingdom size is less than the Breath of the Wild size, which you would think would be the other way around.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more to do. There's so
Mm,
many different areas in Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah,
yeah.
unless it could just be that over the years they were able to better optimize things, and so that's why it's
Mm.
smaller.
I think that is the case. I think
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is a lot older, and
Um,
in terms of updating the graphics for that, maybe that takes more data just because it's starting from something older, an older
yeah.
engine or whatever you wanna call it. Tears of the Kingdom probably was a lot closer to being, I don't know, nice. I
Yeah.
can't think of a better word. In terms of running, better for the system, Tears of the Kingdom you would think would be better optimized,
Yeah.
so maybe it doesn't need as much to get it closer to what we expect for Switch 2, is what I'm
Did
thinking.
you look at the split though between the base game and the upgrade for those?
No. Was that a
Breath
thing?
of yeah, Breath of the
Oh,
Wild,
yeah, it does say that,
yeah,
yes.
is it 16.3 gig for the base game, and the
Mm,
upgrade is only 3.6 gig.
mhm.
Whereas for Tears of the Kingdom, it's 14.4 gig for the base game, and the update is 9.8 gig, which makes me think we're getting a significantly more content of some sort with that.
Oh, I think it's the other way around, though. I think you said
Oh.
Tears of the Kingdom, but I think Breath of the Wild is the one
Oh,
that's
you're right. You're right.
yeah.
Yes, I was looking at those incorrectly. Yeah, I had them flipped. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. Yes. So there's a huge, 9.8 gigabytes worth of updates for Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is massive. So I don't know what that could entail, other than graphical enhancements, of course. You think there might be something else hidden in there?
Maybe not. Since I when I had it reversed in my head, I thought we already have the better looking game is getting the more significant update. But no, it could
Mm.
just be that yeah, the graphics really needed a kick in the pants.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes, and from a third-party perspective, Bravely Default is 11 gigabytes. We've got Yakuza 053, which is getting up there, and Cyberpunk 27 I still don't know how to say that, 2077?
Yeah, let's go
Cyberpunk.
with that.
Yeah, is huge, 59.8, and that's impressive in a sense because that's the one that's, um, all on the card, right? It's the physical card that everyone's talking about, and you know what? I've seen a lot of people, and I'm even considering this myself. People wanna buy this game just because it's to support it, because it is a proper physical card. Have you heard this kind of people talking about that at all?
I don't know if I saw people talking specifically about Cyberpunk. I did see the opposite, where people are considering boycotting the games that
Mm.
are key on a card.
Mhm. Yes, and by boycotting, do you mean, like, they're not gonna get it at all, or they're just gonna download
Correct.
it? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty harsh, I think. I don't know how I
Yeah.
feel about that. Like, I get it. You should speak with your wallet, right? Like, if you don't like
Yes.
something, don't buy it, and that's kind of a protest of sorts. Sorry, were you gonna say
I
something?
was say I totally support anybody who wants to do that. I get it.
Mhm,
I think the concern that people had that I saw was that if you're just getting a card and that allows you to download the game, then even though you've got a physical card, you don't physically own the game. And there's going to come a point where a store is going to close, like Nintendo does.
mhm,
And even though you've got that card physically, you will no longer have access to be able to download the game.
mhm.
So that's and I get that concern. I do like the idea of buying something and having owning it physically at any point. You know, I could go ahead and play it.
Yes, definitely.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I do. But I also like how long has it been since we've bought a physical game and you plugged it in and you played it? Like there's so much DLC now and they're
Mhm.
constantly updated. The game as you play it is almost never entirely on the actual card.
True.
So, you know, downloading it in some capacity is always going to be something that happens and should because they can patch things and add things. And why
Mhm.
not? So the line is already a bit blurred between what's on the card and what isn't.
Yeah, it is a little bit. And I mean, I totally agree that at some point it would be it would be switched off from a server perspective. That's probably a long way down the track, but still, it is a thing, and people like to preserve games. And we go back and play older games like GameCube
Yep.
games or 3DS games. Trev does a lot of that sort of thing, retro games, DS, whatever it is, even the Wii, I suppose. Um, so that won't be possible if you need to download things. I guess if you've got a Switch or a Switch 2 and you've downloaded the content onto the Switch 2 and you put the card in and play it, if you still have that Switch 2 in 10 years' time, I imagine you could still play it, right? 'Cause you don't have
Yeah,
to download it every time.
correct.
Yeah. But you couldn't sell it, you couldn't get rid of your Switch. If your Switch 2 died, you kinda can't do anything then about
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, it's definitely a concern. Absolutely a
Yeah,
concern.
and I think that's another thing that's upsetting people. And I'm not quite as behind them on that. In that you know you bought the game and you're done with it and you want to sell it. It's going to be harder to sell the key on the card versions. You know you
Mm.
still can because anybody's going to be able if they have that they're going to be able to download it and play it.
Mhm.
But I think there will be less of a market for that, and there will come a point where you can't resell it. You can't hold on to a game for 40 years and
Yeah.
then make a million on
Yeah, true.
eBay
Mm.
getting rid of it because it's doing nobody any good. Uh,
That's a good point. Mm. Yeah. I mean, not that many of us do that, and like you said, it's not something we necessarily agree with, but it is a concern. It is a factor. Um, yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I was just trying to look at the list of games that were Game Key card releases because it's a long list, and we did say that, Cyberpunk isn't, it's physically on the card, and I did mention last week there are a couple others, I couldn't remember what they were, but I think it's Rune Factory, is on the
Okay.
card, and, there was one other, I believe, which now I cannot find either, so sorry about that. But it looks like, yeah, Street Fighter, Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is now a launch title, is a game key card, Hitman, Madden, Bravely Default, as we knew. Yeah, it's a pretty long list. So it seems to be if you want to play these games and you want a card, this is what you will have to do. So unless you want to download it. But if you want the card, the only benefit is, yeah, you could potentially sell it or you could potentially trade it in. I don't know if trade-ins, I guess they will be fine because you can't there's no other option, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can still,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
Very interesting. Yes. But yes, the game sizes have been revealed, so nothing that's greater than 64 gigabytes at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
And that kind of upsets me too a little bit, I
Mm,
guess, because
yeah.
if it's a space issue, then I understand where they're coming from. But
Yeah.
as I mentioned, the game I'm going to get once I have my Switch 2 is Bravely Default.
Mhm.
I'll buy it digitally. I'm not going to bother with this, but it's only 11 gig. So
Yeah.
there's no reason to not put that on, except you as a company have made a conscious decision to make it
Mm.
more difficult for people to continue to make money after the game or on the game after they've made the initial purchase,
Yeah.
or just laziness. I don't get there's no technology incentive for you to keep it off the card. You can fit 11 gig on a card and you can sell it that way. So why
Mm.
aren't you? I'd like to have someone weigh in on this
Yeah.
at one
Yeah.
of these companies to explain it, because it does seem like they're purposely sticking it to their audience.
It does,
Yeah.
it actually does. Yeah. I think laziness is part of it, maybe getting it out quickly, but we all know how, certain games have these special editions, with,
Hmm.
like, a booklet and extra media, and it's people love those. They're collector's editions, right? Or definitive or whatever you wanna call it. I just don't know why, especially something like Bravely Default, which is, an HD version of an already good game that's how old is it? Maybe 10, 15 ye how old is Bravely
I
Default?
would say at least 15.
15? Yeah.
Yeah, keep going. I'll look it
Mm.
up.
Okay. So this is like a prime opportunity to, get something like that out there, and I really don't know why they haven't capitalized on that in a sense. I probably shouldn't use the word capitalized. But kind of if it's for the fans, they obviously wanna make money as well, and I assume it's a lot cheaper, but they're still making a card. They still have to put something on a card that triggers a download.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it would be that much more expensive to put the data on there. So,
Yeah, I guess there's less work done in a factory. You're just
yeah.
dumping a hunk of plastic in a box and
Mm.
saying, "Here,
Mm,
do with it
mhm.
what you will." 2012, it came out.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
right. So, yeah, about, 13 years. So,
yeah. And
yeah.
it's especially annoying for Bravely Default because, as I mentioned, the bad thing about that game, although it wasn't at the time, is that it used Street Pass and other Nintendo connectivity
Mm,
options
mhm, mhm.
in really clever ways when you were playing the game that make it impossible to play on the DS now, because you don't, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say impossible, but it really impacts the overall
Mhm.
experience. So here was their chance to correct that and make it so that whether you're playing this game now or 15 years from now, 13 years from now, I guess if we're going to do this again,
Yeah.
um, you'll be able to play it because we pulled that out, and instead they've just put they've handicapped it in another way.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I agree. I think I don't know whether you'd want to do options, like if you're a game company, would you wanna do a full physical card and a game key version, and the game key one is maybe slightly cheaper for those who don't care? But then is that unfair for for the collectors who do care that they would have to pay $10 more? But
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
I think that the people who are going to buy the one thing would be complaining that they have to pay more because
mm,
that's the way they would do it. They wouldn't reduce the price of the game
yeah.
key card version. They
Yeah.
would raise the price of the other and say, "Yeah, all right, you can have this, but you're going to pay for it."
Mm.
Um,
Yes, exactly. And I'm glad at least Nintendo isn't doing this, as of yet. Like, the first party games are all on the card, so that's something. I don't know if Nintendo will ever go down that path. I can't imagine they would in the short term at least, but I'm not sure if that would be the future state of gaming.
Yeah. Well, you can bet when they do, we're going to hear about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed. But for now and I mean, I've got the bundle, with Mario Kart World, so I won't be getting a physical card with it anyway. I believe it's just a download code in the box, which is fine. I mean, it's cheaper in one for one thing. And I think I mentioned this maybe previously. I've always considered purchasing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a digital version just because I play it so much and it's really annoying for me to have to put the card in every time. Um, so it will be handy for Mario Kart World, but it is also like I do like the fact that I have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I can play it at any time on any system in the future. Like you said, it's kind of historical and you've got that imp well, having said that, it won't have the DLC though, will it? So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I don't know, not catch-22, but it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. So
And I'll tell you, I don't have this
mm.
problem when I play the Intellivision games in my basement.
Yes.
I plug in the Night Stalker Snafu Lock and Chase cartridge, and I just play. I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about any internet connectivity. It's right there.
Mm, mhm. Yes. Yeah, I think I miss those days. I do. Yeah. Well, listeners, let us know what your thoughts are on all of that business because, yeah, I think people have opinions. They're quite strong, and they're all valid. We're in this new world. Yeah, we'll see where it takes us, I think.
Yeah.
I
Because
just
a lot of it is adjustment, right? I mean, we're going to
mhm.
complain, but if the games are good enough, that's ultimately what really matters. And however you're delivering it to me, if I'm enjoying the game, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so. It will just be interesting in the future if it becomes a new way of things, if game key cards will ever have a value, like you kinda mentioned, holding on to things for 40 years and selling it for $1,000,000. I mean, if it doesn't do anything, I can't imagine it would be, but if that's all there is, and if someone has this extremely rare version of Bravely Default from 2025 that's hard to get on a game key card, it could still be worth something. I don't know.
Could be. Maybe the whole system will backfire so badly that this will just like become this tiny little anomaly in gaming, and everyone who has a game key
Yes.
card will
Yes.
like the misprints on those old Beatles albums where they got something wrong and had to put them out. So if you got the bad version, you're a millionaire.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Who knows, right? Let's, see what happens in the future. We'll report on it as best we can. Anything else to add to that conversation?
No, not yet, but I'm
Not
sure
yet.
there'll be more down the road.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Speaking of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it was the anniversary of that game during the week, last week, April 28th, 2017, the original, and I say original, the deluxe version of Mario Kart 8 came out on the Switch. And just so you're aware, the Wii U version came out on 29th of May 2014, so 3 years earlier. So it's kind of interesting that the Switch 2 version will come out at a similar time of year. You know, we've got late April for the deluxe version, late May for the original Wii U version, and then we're getting an early June release of the next iteration. So yeah, Mario Kart tends to come out of the last three iterations at least this time of year, which is neat. But yeah, it's going on 8 years now for this game. Technically 11 if you want to consider it as a Wii U game. So it is just, I guess it's fascinating to think about that period of time. Like we've just been talking about game key cards and how in 10 years will you be able to play this game. I mean, 11 years later, in a sense, we're still playing the same game as we were back then. I'm really looking forward to seeing Mario Kart World and how what that brings to the series and how much that changes things up. I don't know if how it'll feel going back to something like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe after you've had the full Mario Kart World experience, if that will be hard to do. I think that'll be interesting. Mm,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, after you've been able to explore like, I'm playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at the moment, just, you know, in anticipation, and I just wanna drive off the side and explore.
Yeah, you were never interested in doing it before, but now that you know you'll eventually be able to, you're like, wait a minute, what's that over there? Why can't I go there?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, I mean, they could do something cool where they'd bring tracks from past games into Mario Kart World as DLC or something with which opens up what you have played in the past and makes them more explorable. Or they could do I don't think they'd re-release Mario Kart 8 Deluxe exactly as an open world experience because they've got Mario Kart World as the base, but I think they could add on to that with I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but do you know what I mean? Like expand upon the world with stuff you've had in previous games to kind of make it more,
Yes.
yeah, to tie it in
Yeah.
a little bit closer.
I wonder if it would be better to, like, if they are going to bring in other tracks, are they going to expand them to fit the larger Mario Kart world approach? And I assume that they're going to have to, but would it also be fun if they just brought it in its original version? So
Hmm.
you're kind of like able to go back to that more confined um, environment?
Yeah, like a retro style, even though it's
Yeah.
not currently retro, but it will be. Yeah, I think so. I think that would be fun. I like that idea actually. Yeah, kind of like a new mode where it's just classic mode or something, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like some of those games that get remastered and you can play the new version, but at any time you can flip a switch and you bounce back to the way it looked originally.
Mm. Mhm.
This wouldn't be exactly like that, but I think it would be kind of cool to be able to, on one system, play the new Mario Kart World expanded, really wide, big thing, but also, go back and play it as it originally was.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That would be neat. Uh, I don't know. The future will tell will tell us what happens in that case. I think anything's possible though, and if it's going to be as popular as Mario Kart 8 has been, I mean, I'd like to see them support it, and I hope they do for a long time and give it lots of love. Um, the way they did with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that's been the game that's seen us through with lots of DLC, and it's just been this kind of standard multiplayer experience that everyone's I don't know, everyone likes and enjoys, and I hope that translates across to the new one. I hope we can keep that momentum and keep that feeling fresh. I think with things like I do want to try things like that's partly why I got the camera. Not that you need it to do the roaming with friends thing. You don't need the camera to do that. You can just have your screen share or whatever. But I think it'll be nice. I think it will be fun to try that and just roam around and explore. And I don't know. I'm just really looking forward to giving that a go.
No, and
Yeah.
I get that. Like because I see them demoing the camera and how it works in games, and I keep looking at it and saying I have absolutely no interest in this whatsoever.
Hmm.
But I also know that, like, the first time when I sit down and actually use it and be like, because Nintendo does this, they know how to do this. Like,
Mm.
this is pretty cool after all. I kind of like the way this works. And then it was the same with the balance board. I had no interest in buying the Wii balance board. Then I tried the Wii balance board. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
actually kind of fun. I like what I'm doing here.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good, analogy in a sense. The balance board was super fun, and it seemed like, why would you why? Why would we have this? And I tried it at a friend's house, and I was the same. I went and bought one the next day because 'cause I'm like,
Yep.
"This is fun. I love this. I need this." That is really cool. Yeah. So yes, the anniversary's just happened. Let us know your favorite, I guess, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe moment, memory, track, how you feel about that game. If you're sad that it's ending, if you're excited for Mario Kart World, let us know your thoughts, listeners.
Yeah, and I'm also curious to know how many people hadn't played it in a long time, but the moment they saw the
Yeah.
Mario Kart World trailers or the direct that they
Mhm.
had for it, busted it out, got back into it in preparation.
Mm. Yeah, I'd love to know how many hours people have spent in this game. Like
Mm.
it's up there for me because it's in my top 3. I'd love to know, some people spend a lot more hours. I was watching another podcast 2 weeks ago, I think, where they were talking about they've spent, something like 7 or 800 hours in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm
Did
not
you count your Mario Kart Tour time too, though? You can add that on.
Oh, that's I do play that each week. Yeah, actually, and I would spend quite a few hours in that. So, that would bump me up a lot, actually. Yes,
That's
it
what I
would.
was thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Still playing Mario Kart Tour, still enjoying that. Looking forward to how some of the elements of that have been incorporated into Mario Kart World, like the costumes. Hopefully, they've got something. One of the things I love about Mario Kart Tour, and I won't digress too much, and I have mentioned this on a previous episode a long time ago, is they have these tracks that they change, like they add all these jumps, or it's just like how do you describe it? Like a turbo version of the track or something? So it's like the normal track, but it's like littered with jumps and boosts, those speed boost panels. It's designed to be a different version of it, and it's really, really fun, and I love that. So I'm hoping there's something like that that comes across as well. Just different styles, maybe even events, like timed events or something, would be cool. I think if they're trying to build a community in Mario Kart World, like it's got that very shared experience mentality to it, like you wanna play with friends, it'd be nice to have something, like, unique in the world that you can go and roam and see what's happening over here today. "Oh, we're doing this special event where we're playing these tracks differently," or we're I don't know, "There's a fair in town," like, and all the Toads and Yoshis are having a festival of some sort. I don't know. The something cool. I think there'd be a lot of fun you could have with that for sure.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah. I didn't put this in the list, but did you notice during the week, um, that they've hiked the prices of the Xbox consoles? This is unrelated to Mario Kart. I didn't know if we should mention this. I don't wanna go down a rabbit hole and talk about price too much because I know it's a very sore point for a lot of people, but is that tariff related? Do we know?
I don't know. I didn't see anything on it. I think my initial response would be it could be like maybe they were waiting for they were planning on it, and then after Nintendo came out and we had our whole Nintendo tariff fiasco, they
Mm.
thought, "Oh, well, all right, now people are already used to this conversation. We don't have to explain ourselves. All we have to do
Yeah.
is say tariff, and now they'll understand. They'll be
Yeah.
mad, but they'll understand."
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's interesting because people are this is the Xbox, whatever the current one is, and I think it's 5 years old. People are saying it's going up in price and it's already an older system. People are speculating on the next PlayStation prices, and now they're saying, "Oh, the Switch 2 is actually gonna be maybe the cheaper alternative again," even though it's
I
not
think
cheap.
it's yeah, it's but it still was the cheaper alternative,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, true. It was still less than the others, just not by a
Yeah,
huge margin, but I think that margin might increase over time. And I don't wanna be that person who's, um, being a fangirl or whatever and dissing the other companies or anything like that. Everyone has their place, and I love the competition of other consoles and gaming developers. Just thought that was interesting, that that's happening so soon after the Switch 2. Like you said, maybe Nintendo kinda took the brunt of that pricing debacle, and now the other
yeah,
companies feel like, "Well, we can just slide this in because Nintendo's done the hard work for us," in
yeah.
a sense.
Well, and I think that was also part of the reason why everybody was freaking out about it so much,
Mm,
is
mhm.
because if one company does it, then even if you're
Yeah.
not going to buy Nintendo, you're like, well, if they start, then this is going to. It's the same with the pricing of the games. If
Yeah.
Nintendo jacks up the price of their games, then when are Sony and Microsoft going to do the same thing?
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. Yep, which is a sad state, but that's just how it is, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Anyway, let's move on to some fun stuff because last week we talked about some games that came out in the sense of Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones, which is an older game, but it came out onto the Switch Online as a Game Boy Advance title, and a game that you played, which is the 100 Line that you reviewed, and that's up on the website. People can read that now. But I want to revisit those because I have had a chance to play both of them now. And I know you've been playing Fire Emblem as well, and both are really excellent. So, sorry, did you
well, I was going to say I'm still playing the 100 line too.
and you're playing that as well? Right. Well, let's start with Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. Now this is a Game Boy Advance title that I think you had said you hadn't played before, is that correct?
No, yeah, I
Yeah.
do have it. I have played it.
You have played it, okay. I had not played this before. I jumped in, pretty much straight after last week's episode, actually. I was really excited, and I'm loving it. It is so fun. I'm really, really into it. I'm only maybe up to chapter 5 at the moment, so
Okay.
I think there's, what, 12 or 14, did you say? Something like that?
More than that, I think it's maybe up into the 20s because you get
Ooh,
up
okay.
to you get up to chapter 7, I think it is. I
Mhm.
and then you do the split for another 5, 6, 7 chapters, and then
Mhm.
it comes back together. I'm not spoiling anything there,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
there no story spoilers, just approach spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So how far into it are you this time around?
Just a little bit further than you. I
Cool.
think about 7. Is that where I'm at? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just loving it. It's such a classic Fire Emblem experience in terms of the turn-based battles. There's a bit of story in between each battle, of course. It develops, with characters talking to each other. It's just really neat. But the battle system, it just makes me feel so nostalgic. As I said, I didn't play this before, but it's very reminiscent of those DS titles that I loved, just in the layout of them. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and the character's really great. There's all these little and the setup, I guess you would know better than me because you played more Fire Emblem titles than I have. But there's usually a world divided into regions, and then something goes wrong, and one of the regions goes bad or something, or tries to take over, or there's demons. And it's these sacred stones are like dispersed among the regions. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been like 1,000 years of peace or something. And now,
It's always 1,000 or
yeah,
100 years of peace. We've had
yeah, yeah.
this big era of peace, and it's come to an end. Dang it!
Yeah, and I did want to point out one of the kings of one of the regions' name is Hayden, which is my son's name. So
Oh yeah,
I took some screenshots of King Hayden saying some profound things when he spoke. It just sounds cool, King Hayden. Yeah, so I definitely recommend this if you're a Fire Emblem fan, whether you played it or not. But from my perspective, I haven't previously, and I'm really enjoying it. I just wanted to keep playing it during the week. I didn't get a whole lot of chance, which is why I'm only up to chapter 5 or 6. But definitely want to keep going with it. What's your experience been like revisiting it this time around?
oh, I love it. Yeah, sometimes when I play the old Game Boy Advance games on Nintendo Switch Online,
Mhm.
like my because I almost always play in dock mode, and the TV is so
Mm.
big that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
graphics really lose their impact when they're not tiny on that screen.
Mm, mhm,
But this game I still think looks good. Like you can almost see the character inflections more.
mhm,
Um, eh, I also really like, and I mentioned this last week, like how fast the game moves along.
mm,
There
mhm,
is story in between the battles, as you mentioned. That's where we get the exposition, and on the battlefield, you can often have characters talk to one another.
mhm.
Um, you don't always know who it is. You'll just move up to somebody and talk is now an option. So you got to watch for that. There's always
Yeah.
some
Mhm,
fun character dumps in those. Um, but it moves along very quickly. The battles are fast, much more so than late. Like I was kind of struck at how small the initial battlefields are. They're almost not a whole lot bigger than Fire Emblem Heroes
mm, mhm.
on the iPhone. Uh, but yeah, just the clip that it moves along at, as you mentioned, the characters. So many of them are so much fun. Um, and I also think I really do enjoy games before we had voice acting, when
Mm, mhm.
I'm using my imagination to fill that in and not listening to someone else's interpretation. Works quite well for me.
Yeah, it does. That's a really good point because I think the writing is quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, each character, even just reading the text that they're speaking, there's like inflections you could, imagine. Like you said, you can just imagine how they're going to sound, because they're written well and they're written differently. Like there's one I've just met a girl who's like a magician, and she's really kind of she thinks she's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. She's quite cocky.
Yeah,
Rude.
yeah, 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 she's very cocky. Yeah, um, and now I think it's around chapter 5 when you can decide who to take into battle with you as well.
Hmm.
So you've obviously got more than the number of people that you can take into battle, so you have to pick and choose. Um, yeah, and I think your point about the docked mode, I've mostly done that as well, but I did play a little bit in handheld, during the week, and I just felt really at home with that, like, it just felt I don't know because I don't often play in handheld mode, to be honest. But this is just perfect for that. Maybe because it is from the Game Boy Advance, maybe because I did, start my Fire Emblem experience with handhelds, with the DS kind of experience. It just feels right at home for me on the handheld device. It works perfectly fine on the docked version as well. And like you said, I think it looks really great. The story parts maybe look a little more, pixelated just because they're kind of close-ups of the people.
Yeah. Yeah. And even the way the text is done with that like weird
Yeah,
shadow they put on it makes it look
yeah,
a little jingly.
yes, but the battles themselves look great on the screen, on the big screen, no problems at
Hmm.
all there. Yeah, it does move along really quickly, you're right, the battles are really satisfying. It's just that classic, um, turn-based approach, that kind of analytical, tactical strategy feel to it, like a chess game. I always made that analogy when I started playing. It felt like a really enhanced version of chess. We've got two sides, two opposing
Yeah.
sides, all these different pieces that do different things. Which one do you want to attack this? You obviously don't want someone to perish if because there's permadeath here. Like my main character died at one point in one battle. I just was a bit foolish with where I moved her, and the game was over. I'm like, oh, whoops, I'll just do it again. Yeah, I just didn't protect her properly. But there's so many good characters, and I love them. I think they're great. And I was
Yeah.
looking up to see whether any of them had been made into amiibo, and they have not. I don't think from this game. So,
No,
no.
no, not from this. No, yeah, they haven't. That's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it is unfortunate. Yeah, but it is great.
Well,
It is really good.
it's going to be. I can hardly wait to see when you get your Switch 2
Mhm.
and you get the GameCube games on it,
Mm,
and
mhm.
Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is on there because to me
Yeah.
that's when the whole thing really kicked into gear.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not that I'm not, not enjoying Sacred Stones. Oh, you know what? And then because there's another Fire Emblem GBA game, the first Fire Emblem game, which I think in the US is just called Fire Emblem.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
available too. So yeah, when you're done with
Right.
this, go back and play that.
So will they be available day 1, those 2? Do we know?
Well, no, those are available now.
Oh, right.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is not going to be one of the first games available through the GameCube
Right. Yes.
online. Where they
Mhm.
haven't announced, I think, when that one's coming, just that it is coming.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's okay. Look forward to that one for sure.
And
Um,
one other thing I love about these games too, we were talking about chess, and I've always made that
mhm.
comparison. To me, these turn-based battle games, they're like it's chess where the pieces sometimes talk to each other. They do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I'd forgotten, and they do this in almost all the games. I'm completely blanking on the character now. I think Seth, maybe the knight that's helping Erica at the
Oh, yeah.
beginning,
Mhm.
is so overpowered.
Yeah.
And the first time I played this game, I'm like, this is so easy because I'm just moving this guy in and he can handle anybody. But he doesn't level up. He's so overpowered, he doesn't level up at all. And then you don't level up the characters that you need to. So
Yeah.
you get to the later levels and you're like, wait a minute, I'm way underpowered. Why? It's because you relied too much on Seth. So be yeah, if you're playing people, use him only as a last resort. Half the time,
Ah.
don't even put him in if you don't have to. But yeah, he
Mm.
was always my rescuer. Just keep him in the back, and if somebody else is about to die, he can go up in front and get the kill, and we'll try to get the leveling points elsewhere on the
Oh, that is
battlefield.
such a good tip. I did not notice that he wasn't leveling up, so
Yeah, I mean he
yeah.
does, but it's just painfully slow.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's overpowered, yeah. He is great, and I do have used him a little bit, especially in the last battle I did, because there
Yeah,
were some quite weak enemies, and he just took them out in one go. So, I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I use you? So
yeah. Well, there's sometimes yeah you have to, or I'm scared not to. I don't want to lose anybody, and I know
yeah.
Seth's going to survive, so let's move him up and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, so I'm loving that. Highly recommended. Listeners, let us know if you've been playing it recently or ever, and what your thoughts are on it. Now, let's talk about the 100 line. What's the full title? Sorry, the 100 line
Last Defense Academy.
Last Defense Academy. Exactly. So, you mentioned last week that you reviewed it and there is a demo. So, I went and downloaded the demo. I thought, I'm going to give this a go because it does sound really cool. And it is. It's I don't know what I expected from your description, but
Yeah,
um,
that's my fault,
no,
but maybe it's their
it's
fault. No, it's such a hard game to
it's
describe.
very hard to describe, but very interesting. Like you said, it's bonkers, and I'm only playing the demo, so I can only imagine it gets even more bonkers. But
It
I'm
does.
yeah,
It definitely
yeah.
does.
But it's very enjoyable, and I love. One thing I have to say is it looks fantastic. Like, I don't know what they've done to this game, but it just looks amazing. Like, the style, the anime kinda animations, the characters, and the battles, it all just looks really good. I
Yeah.
I think it looks, yeah, really, really
Yeah,
nice.
visually, I don't think it looks like any other game I've played. Like, people often say it's kind of anime inspired, but not really. I mean, I guess the
Mm,
characters are drawn that way, but
mhm.
the graphics themselves are not built that way. So
Mm.
it's got this like weird shine to it or something that
Yeah.
I haven't seen.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean, exactly, yes. I mean, when they're doing the story, it looks anime-esque.
Yeah. Yeah. The animated sequences. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and they're really good. I think, there's a lot of it at the start, So it's really kinda neat because you can just sort of sit there and watch it, and it's really engaging. I was really into it.
Mhm.
So, I really wanna know what's going on with this world, and you get to do, I guess, a short battle at the start to get you into this academy, and then you meet all of these characters, and they're all so interesting and diverse and
Yeah.
quirky.
Yeah, and you haven't even met everyone yet. I
Yeah,
doubt the demo
right.
lasts long enough to get to the full cast,
Oh,
and
there you go.
the rest of them are even more bizarre.
Oh, wow. See, and I just assumed this was the cast of characters going forward, like this classroom of people would be my crew for the entire game, but apparently not. So, very interesting.
Yeah, and did you see what I mean about, like I said, I read a complaint where people saying there were anime tropes, but I'm like, this is done with such a humor, such a
Mm,
sense of humor, and they're so big
mm.
that I don't think it's even fair to look at it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I can agree with that. I don't think it didn't come across that way to me in a negative way. I feel like they were done purposely that way. Like you've got the tough guy, the crazy girl. You know, the blue is she blue haired? That one she
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah, and I can't remember, like, the names, because they're all Japanese, it's hard for me to remember, so, yeah, I do the same thing, the tough guy and the crazy girl with the blue hair.
Yes, yes. She reminds me of Harley Quinn from the Batman kind of universe. Um, there's the twins, you know, they're eerie, those eerie twins.
Yes.
Yeah. The really
Yeah,
smart girl with the glasses. Yeah, very interesting characters. The dude the little dude actually, who's really down on
yeah.
himself. I don't know how
His
he's
name, I think I remember, Shuo Joji, something like that. Yes, yeah,
mm. Yeah,
that poor kid.
yeah, yes,
You
yes.
feel so bad for him. No one has ever hated himself as much as him.
Yeah, yeah, yes. And you can see, yeah, they've taken these personality types and run with them, but it is
Yeah,
amusing, and interesting,
yeah,
and
and I like the way all the personality types, I don't wanna say clash, but are simultaneously annoyed and intrigued by, like, the reactions. You got one extreme character over here reacting to this other totally extreme character, and it's just hilarious to watch all of that go on.
yeah, 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 it is. So I don't know how far the demo goes. I haven't quite finished it. I actually died in my first real battle as part of a group. And but the battles are really fun and it is that Fire Emblem-esque, I suppose, turn-based style, although you use action points to move as opposed to moving each character once. You could move them multiple times if you still have action points, which is neat. Um, yeah, what did you have anything to add to that? Like, do you have a
No,
preference?
except yeah, and they make it interesting too because as you mentioned, you can have one person move multiple times, but there's restrictions on that. So like if you have one
Mhm.
guy move far to get somebody else or to make an attack, his next move he's only going to be able to move one step. He can still
Yes.
attack,
Mhm.
but unless you use the dash command or later you get another character who's kind of able to revive people
Mhm.
and like any impairments they have on them can be cleaned out so then you can move again. um, and there are certain characters who have multiple better abilities along those lines anyway, so the strategy gets really deep because every time you think you've got one character figured out, you're learning more abilities, you're leveling up abilities. You eventually get to the point where you are able to like set up defenses. So
Mm.
it's not just what you have in front of you. Like everybody has the ability to put down a fence, for example,
Right.
just stop people from getting through.
Mm.
Those are limited, but they're limited amongst the party instead of just to one person.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Yeah, it seems really deep, the
Yeah.
gameplay, like, even at this early point. There's a few different moves you can do. Like you said, you can attack multiple times, but the movements are restricted that second time. There's this meter at the top, I can't remember what it's called, where it fills up and then you get, like, a
The
percentage. Yeah,
voltage
the
points.
voltage, yeah, and that does something. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to it. It's
Did you sacrifice anyone yet?
well, no, no. Well, kind of. I don't know. I don't. I don't want to get into spoilers or anything, but yeah, something happened to someone, but it
Okay.
wasn't my fault. Like it was part of the story, I think. So,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
then all right, then you may not have gotten to the point where they explain how to do that, because
Yeah.
if a character dies, great. I shouldn't say great. If a character dies, a character dies. But if you purposely kill off that character, you get bonuses for that.
Right.
So if someone gets low on health, you can risk keeping them on the battlefield to keep fighting, or you could sacrifice that person to unlock a really powerful attack and give more voltage points to the party.
Mm.
So
It's
that factors into it.
That's an interesting mechanic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting.
And that person does come back. I think I mentioned that last week. But yeah, if you sacrifice someone, you get the person back on either the next level of that particular battle or after the battle's done.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, there's so much to it. I can definitely see why you have, reviewed it the way you have. Very interesting, very intriguing. I will consider purchasing it. It's not a cheap game though, but yeah, it's definitely worth checking out the demo for fans of these styles of games and just seeing if you like it because it's something else. It's really it definitely stands out. Absolutely. So yeah, I would definitely recommend listeners give that a go. I mean, the
Hmm.
demo itself is quite long. I've been playing for, a couple of hours, I'd say, just because there's so much story to it. And I
Do you know
guess
what day you're up to? Because the whole thing's like split into the 100
yeah,
days.
well, I mean, the intro is kind of not part of that, and then so I'm only really up to day 1 because
Okay.
all of the exposition happens kind of
All
before
right.
that, I think. Yeah. So I don't know if the demo will only go up to day 1 or to the end of day 1, I should say, potentially.
I hope it goes further. I don't know, but I hope they give you
Mm,
a good set of days, because there's a lot of gameplay where you're not on the battlefield. You're doing
mm.
like Persona 5 type things where figuring out, how do I spend my time? Do I go read books? Do I talk to this person? Do I craft this? I mean, there are a lot of options, so I hope the
Mm.
demo goes into that much detail.
Hopefully. I mean, I did get to talk to everybody in the classroom, initially, which was really cool because then you sort
Yep.
of move the cursor around and, um, you know, see what everyone's thoughts are because they're all being brought into this strange place. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And it was interesting because I thought we would all be on the battlefield, but it's only a small subset initially. And I
Yep.
wasn't able to choose them myself, but I assume at some point you would choose your people.
Boy, I'm looking back. I don't think. Oh, you know what? When you get to do that is there are you can explore in a board game style mode,
Mm,
where you're going outside the school and looking for materials or other things. And when
right.
you do that, you can pick certain people to go with you, because certain people are better at collecting different types of items. There are like
Mm.
plant-based items, technology items, and if you take the right person with you, it's more likely you're going to get better or more of those things.
Right,
um,
okay.
but within the story, I'm pretty sure throughout, every time you went in, they gave you the characters that you're going to use.
Okay, yeah.
But also, a lot of the battles get so big that everybody is out there.
Yeah. I mean, the first boss fight is a massive creature. That's so
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
can
They
only
split the area up into like multiple. You're defending all sides of the school, so one team is on the
Oh.
north side, and one's on the south,
Oh,
and one's on the west.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very interesting indeed. Yes. So, yes, the 100 line, Last Defense Academy. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool game. The developers of this game, have you played other games from them?
Yes. The one of the developers did the Nonary
Mhm.
games. Is that what it is? 999, and
Ah, uh-huh.
yeah, those really creepy but really good. I mean, really good. I guess we'll say they were like escape room games.
Right. Mhm.
But yeah, I played those and loved them. In fact, that's one of the reasons why the moment I saw this game was coming out and saw they were connected to that in some way. In fact, there's even a joke about it.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, it's referenced in Hundred Line.
Oh, that's
There are a
nice.
lot of jokes like that in
Yeah.
Hundred Line, especially from Blue Haired Girl. She is very funny throughout the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah, well, like, especially in the intro, she's quite
Yeah,
funny. She's full on.
and I think I think the other developer did the Danganronpa games, and I haven't played those, so I should
Mm,
and probably will. Although you mentioned possibly buying this, I'm considering getting the collector's edition of this game
right. Yeah.
direct from Marvelous. Yeah, when I love a game this much, I feel like I got to go out and buy it. Because I got my copy for review
Hmm.
from the PR company,
Hmm.
and I want to own this one. I want a physical copy of it. So
Cool. Does it come with anything special in the collector's edition?
it's got, yeah, like soundtracks, and it's got an art book. The typical
Yeah. Okay.
um, type things.
Nice.
It's I think it's $99 at Marvelous Exceed.
Okay. Yep. That's pretty good. Yeah, and it's definitely worthy. I mean, like I'm only doing the demo, so I'm early into it, but yeah, I can see that it is worthy of its rating that you gave it because you gave it a very good rating. I think it was
Yep,
it 9 out of 10?
nine.
Yeah,
Yep, 9 out of 10.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So definitely worth checking out. Thank you so much for getting me onto it, and hopefully some other listeners have learned about this game as well from you. And yeah, as I said, you can read the full review over at purenintendo.com that Kirk did recently. Anything else to add to that at all?
No, except I will say this is also one of those games. Like, it's, we play so many games for review,
Mhm.
and a lot of them are great, but a lot of them are great in a way that other games have been great.
Mhm.
It's rare that a game completely comes along and completely catches me off guard almost the entire way through,
Yes.
which this game did. And I love it, absolutely love it when games do that.
Mm.
Catch
Mhm.
me completely by surprise. And
That's
that's one of
yeah.
the reasons I was gushing about it so much, is because it's such a wonderful thing when that happens.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good point because when I suppose we play more games than typical average players. I know some people play a lot of games, and that's great. We do tend to play probably slightly more than the average player just because we do review games. So we see a lot of similarities. So yeah, it's interesting to note that this stands out on its own from someone who does play a lot of games like yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really I guess it makes it seem even more enticing that way, I think. Yeah. Mm, absolutely. Yeah, listeners, let us know if you've played it or if you're interested in playing it. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the 100 Line, Last Defense Academy, or Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones, or any games you're playing this week. Let us know what you're up to. Anything else to add before we close things off for the week, Kirk?
Nope. I think we're good.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will be talking about the 100 line come December.
Yes, I have a good feeling about that. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. If it makes it into your top 10, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. See what the year holds. We've obviously got a lot to look forward to, but
Yes, we do.
that would be nice. I wonder if our top 10 will have to be cross-platform, like, we wouldn't just have a Switch 2 top 10 and a Switch top 10, right? We would probably just have a top 10 overall, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, I think it would be overall.
Mm.
But we'll let Trev and Justin make that call, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Depends how many games we've got, if we need to split it, but yeah, we'll see, we'll see. Well, thank you so much for joining me this week, Kirk. Thank you, listeners. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are on Blue Sky, so check us on out over there. Check us out. Check us, whatever. You know what I mean. If you'd like to,
Us on out.
yes, just check us out. If you'd like to support us, we are over on patreon.com/pure Nintendo. You can get yourself a physical copy of our magazine, our periodical magazine that we put together. We sent straight to your mailbox. And of course, our website, purenintendo.com, for all our news and reviews. And until next week, thank you and game on, everybody. Bye.